A group of mountain lions, also called pumas, roam through the forest. One young puma named Carrag grows curious about humans. His father, the pack leader, stops him and warns of danger. The leader demands that Carrag choose between humans or his own kind. This scene comes from the dream of a teenager named Jay. Jay is an adopted child of the Donald family and is transferring to a new school because he was often bullied at his previous one. 2 worlds, 1 choice. This is Woodwalkers. During breakfast, the family watches a news report about a plane crash caused by a flock of geese that threw a branch into the plane's engine. This is not the first strange event. Days earlier, an alligator flipped a boat. After breakfast, Jay leaves for Clearwater High with his mother Ralston and younger sister Melody. Jay feels like an outsider in the family and often clashes with his stepbrother Marlon. On the way to Clearwater, they spend the night at a motel. That night, Jay sees a group of wolves approaching a mine. The next morning, Jay and his family arrive at Clearwater High. Before meeting the principal, Jay notices 2 crows enter a cabin and come out as humans. At that moment, the principal, Lisa, arrives to greet them. The family shares the story of how Ralston first met Jay. He had been found naked at a police station with no memory. Ralston persuaded her husband to take him in. Jay remained withdrawn and was frequently bullied at school. He also scratched Marlon, but strangely had no long claws on his fingers. After hearing this, Lisa asks to speak with Jay privately. When the family leaves, Lisa quickly realizes that Jay is a predator. To help him understand, she explains that everyone at the school is a shapeshifter known as a woodwalker. Jay admits he is a puma who struggles to control his emotions and has avoided transforming since living with humans. Lisa understands how difficult life has been for Jay in the human world. She assures him that the entire school is filled with woodwalkers like him. She tells Jay he can learn to live in both worlds and become his true self. She also warns that he must keep this a secret from humans for an important reason. While they talk, a special alarm sounds. One only woodwalkers can hear. It warns of nearby humans. To avoid suspicion from Jay's family, Lisa claims the alarm is because the school is near a national park. After the situation is under control, Lisa gives the family a tour of the school. During the tour, Jay has a tense encounter with the wolf woodwalker pack led by Jeffrey. A fight almost breaks out, but an instructor steps in and stops it. Ralston worried that Jay might slip into trouble again after the earlier incident, but he assured her he wanted to give Clearwater a chance since it was the only school that would take him. Soon after Ralston and Melody left, a school donor named Andrew arrived to meet Jay. Andrew had recommended Clearwater to the Donald family and became even more interested when he learned Jay had once lived among a puma pack. After being separated from them when his father left and humans appeared, Jay felt incomplete and decided to explore life in the human world. After hearing Jay's story, Andrew joined the shapeshifting class. Meanwhile, Lisa guided Jay to the dormitory and explained the school rules. When she left, Jay's roommate Holly appeared. Holly, a squirrel woodwalker, was curious about Andrew's link to Jay. Soon a rabbit woodwalker entered but retreated after noticing Jay, a predator, and planned to swap rooms. Despite Jay's nature, Holly stayed friendly and invited him to the shapeshifting class. On the way, Holly's friend Lou arrived with news of recent attacks at the mine. Holly tried to introduce Lou, but Lou, an elk woodwalker, stayed distant because Jay was a predator. Before class, Holly warned Jay about the instructor, Elwood, who was Lou's father. When everyone gathered, Elwood explained the class rules, including a ban on photos and on transforming outside class. He called on Jay to transform first. Before Jay could start, a student named Brandon lost control and shifted into a bison. Using Brandon's transformation as an example, Elwood showed how easy the change could be. Jay, who had not transformed in a long time, struggled while a wolf student taunted him. Lisa stepped in to guide Jay and urged him to recall his puma memories. Jay remembered roaming the forest with his pack and heard a puma calling him by the name Chuck. The memory helped him focus, and he transformed into a puma. After he shifted, Lisa instructed the other students to follow. As principal, Lisa welcomed all new students and explained that they would learn to act as mediators between humans and animals to keep peace. When the ceremony ended, Jay returned to the dorm and met his new roommate Brandon. Holly and Brandon invited him to the school cafeteria. There Jay met Dorian, a house cat woodwalker, and a pair of crows named Shadow and Wing who were unfazed by his predator status. Lou remained distant on his father's orders. After breakfast, Jay clashed with Jeffrey when he stepped in to stop Jeffrey from bullying another student. Before the fight escalated, An instructor named James broke it up and reminded Jay that there was no excuse for getting involved, even to prevent bullying. The next morning, Jay joined a combat class that trained woodwalkers to defend themselves. In the first match, a bear woodwalker named Bertha faced Brandon. But Brandon stepped back in fear.
Was machst du?
Eins der stärksten Tiere im Yellowstone.
Mann.
Jay was chosen to replace him and fight Bertha, yet he still struggled to transform. Andrew, who had been watching closely, offered help by handing Jay a small pouch. The scent triggered Jay's puma form, allowing him to shift easily. Jay then became too aggressive during the fight, forcing the instructor to stop the match. After class, Andrew praised Jay's talent and gave him the pouch as a gift. As Andrew left the school, he was seen speaking with Jeffrey. Soon after, Jeffrey, unhappy with Jay, challenged him to a duel against 2 members of the wolf pack. Jay, still unable to control his emotions, accepted without hesitation. That night, Jay entered the forest with Holly and Brandon to meet Jeffrey's group. Without waiting, he transformed and faced the 2 wolves. At first, Jay held the advantage, but Jeffrey began cheating by joining the fight.
Nimm das! Zieh den Schwanz ein! Los jetzt!
As Jay was cornered, Holly pushed Brandon into the fray, breaking the wolves' formation. Jay seized the moment and lunged at Jeffrey, forcing him to surrender. An owl watched the entire battle unnoticed. By the next morning, word of the fight spread quickly among the students. Andrew invited Jay on a walk and pointed out that Jay lacked real combat experience even though he had won a 4-on-1 fight. He offered to teach Jay how to hunt, a skill every predator needs. Jay agreed. Later, when Jay returned to the dorm, Lisa met Andrew and asked him not to give special treatment to any student. Andrew insisted he was only supporting a talented pupil. After Andrew left, Lisa confronted Jay. She expressed disappointment that he had broken the rules and urged him to control his emotions to prevent conflict among the woodwalkers. She forgave him but assigned kitchen duty with the wolves as punishment. After Lisa left, Jay noticed Lou slipping into the forest and quietly followed. Together they eavesdropped on a woodwalker council meeting. The council suspected that woodwalkers were behind recent attacks on humans and feared these attacks were organized, which could draw in the students. Although humans often caused environmental damage, Lou opposed any plan to attack them. Lou spoke with Jay but admitted his father feared that Jay could not restrain his hunting instincts. Lou hoped his father was wrong. After the meeting, Jay began training with Andrew. Andrew, who was also a puma, taught him stealth techniques. When a deer appeared, Jay managed to capture his first prey. Watching Jay, Andrew remembered his own daughter, who was Jay's age, and the tragedy that had taken his family. Pleased with his success, Jay later shared the story of his first hunt with his friends. Hearing this, Lou withdrew, remembering how his mother had been hunted by a puma and lost her leg. That night, Jay noticed Jeffrey and his gang moving through the dark and sensed trouble. He followed them to an old factory, where they waited for a guard while others worked to unlock the doors. When the plan succeeded, Jay stepped forward to stop them, but Andrew appeared and ended the standoff. Andrew ordered his men to take Jeffrey and the others back to the school, then led Jay inside the factory. Andrew explained how he had lost his wife and child to a hunter who displayed their remains as trophies. Since then, his hatred of humans had grown. Hunters continued to harm woodwalkers, and human actions became more reckless. For 50 years, the Woodwalker Council had tried to protect their kind, but nothing changed and more woodwalkers died. Even Andrew's snakeshifter assistant had lost a leg after being struck by a car. Because of this, Andrew had started shutting down factories that damaged the environment and was recruiting talented students, including Jay. Jay did not want to harm humans and felt torn about the offer. Andrew gave him time to decide but warned that a larger plan was already in motion. The next morning, the Donald family visited Jay. Ralston was pleased that he was staying out of trouble at school and invited him on a weekend hike. Before leaving, Melody handed Jay a small keepsake. Soon after his family left, Andrew contacted Jay again and pressed him to start the plan over the weekend. Meeting his mother made Jay hesitate. Andrew insisted he must choose a side. Jay felt torn between 2 worlds. His family accepted him as human, while his school friends supported him despite his predator nature. To clear his mind, Jay went deep into the forest in his puma form. Wing appeared after a long absence, but a hunter's drone soon approached. Jay hid among the trees, yet the drone's heat sensors detected him. Wing knocked the drone from the sky, but hunters with dogs and rifles closed in. Cornered, Jay listened as Wing urged him to shift back to human form and handed him his clothes. Using the keepsake Melody had given him, Jay changed back and escaped, collapsing from exhaustion. When Jay awoke, he was in Andrew's house, still shaken from the chase. Andrew used the moment to argue that humans would keep expanding their power until woodwalkers were forced to submit. To prevent that future, Andrew said he needed Jay's help. Weary and conflicted, Jay agreed to join him. A short time later, Andrew met with his crew to plan the release of a massive stack of logs into the valley. The goal was to destroy the mining machinery and force the operation to stop. To ease tension between Jay and Jeffrey, Andrew told Jay that he had placed a tracking device on Jay's puma family. He promised to help Jay find them if Jay worked with Jeffrey. Soon after Andrew left, Ralston called to say that she and the rest of the family were on their way to the valley. Jay, already committed to Andrew's mission, ended the call. Not long after, Brandon and Holly arrived, worried about him. Jay, preparing for the operation, hid the plan. Seeing where his loyalty now lay, they decided to leave. When everything was ready, Andrew and his team reached the site where the logs were secured. He split the group into smaller teams and assigned tasks. During the briefing, Jay spotted his family camping below the valley. Alarmed for their safety, he rushed to Derek, a bear woodwalker responsible for releasing the supports, and warned that people could be hurt. Derek ignored him and continued. Moments later, Jay received a photo of his family at the campsite, strengthening his resolve to protect them. Since Derek refused to stop, Jay called Andrew to halt the mission. Andrew dismissed his concern, claiming the family would be safe and reminding Jay they were only adoptive relatives. Meanwhile, the wolf team that had driven the miners away scattered when Shadow and Wing appeared. Fearing expulsion from school, the wolves fled. Back at the log site, Derek began pulling the supports with a jeep. Brandon and Holly arrived in time to hold the vehicle back. Elsewhere, Wing and Shadow, joined by Lou, distracted Derek. Frustrated, Derek shifted into his bear form to drive Lou away. Brandon stepped in to protect him. At the same time, Holly kept the jeep from moving, delaying the collapse. The effort failed when Andrew arrived and knocked the supports free himself. The logs crashed into the valley below. Jay sprinted downhill to reach his family. The rumble warned them to move, but Melody, distracted by her phone, did not react. Jay reached her in time and pulled her to safety. When the chaos ended, Andrew approached Jay's family without a trace of guilt. Jay remained silent, bound by the secret of the woodwalkers. Andrew called a helicopter to evacuate the family. After they left, he threatened Jay, reminding him that only he knew the location of Jay's puma family. Lisa then arrived with a member of the Woodwalker Council. To avoid suspicion, Andrew claimed the disaster was an accident caused by mining activity and insisted there were no human casualties. Lisa stayed suspicious but lacked evidence. Jay asked his friends to stay quiet until he could find his puma family. After that, he planned to expose everything Andrew had done, including the woodwalkers who sought to harm humans. The film ends on this cliffhanger. So the moral of the story is never trust a smooth-talking cat who promises family reunions, because he might just be planning a giant log avalanche while you are busy chasing squirrels.